everyone. I'd like to call to order this regular village council meeting of October 1st, 2019. Can you please stand for a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the record reflects those who are present. I will now call the roll. Village Attorney Serafan.
Present.
Village Manager Benton.
Here.
Councilman Brady.
Here.
Councilman Lafredo.
Here.
Councilman Meltz.
Here.
Vice Mayor Brady. Sorry, Vice Mayor Birch.
Present.
I'm sorry. Deja vu, exactly. Mayor Wagger.
present.
You have
Present.
quorum.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with our presentation.
For the House of the Month.
They're not here. We don't have a picture. Okay, well, there we go. Are either of the Atkins family present today? Okay, well, this is their home at 90th Northeast 105th Street, and it's very nice. And in 1990, the Atkins moved to Miami Shores because of its central location, greenery, and sense of community. Beautifully blossomed orchids and flowering plants surrounded the property, and newly renovated areas of the property are topped with a new roof. Thank you to Mrs. Atkins for continuing to enhance the village beautiful. And I don't think anyone's here for me to present this plaque.
We'll
so
make
we
sure
can
that she gets it.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to public comments. We will open the floor to public comment. If anyone is here to make a comment, please state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Ms. Atkins. Ackley.
Susan Ackley, 1119 Northeast 99th Street. Good evening, everyone. I'm sure you know why I'm here. I'm asking for your support to be reappointed to the Fine Arts Commission. I've been fortunate to be chair for the past several years, and am very proud of several accomplishments that we've been able to effect. A few of the highlights. We've increased our family concerts from one spring one to now 3, January, February, and March. We started the Art in Public Places program in 2009. We now have 5 locations and are continuing to expand it as soon as the county and we can work out our issues over the utility boxes. We also put on a special event every year. We've had dance, drama, and this year we're working with Barry University for a choral concert. We have a very good working relationship with the library. We put on 3 art exhibits, and when we were able to install a gallery in Village Hall's lobby, we have created a gallery night where we unveil the new yearly exhibit, and across the street we have a new exhibit with the library. I also serve as vice chair for the county's Art and Public Places Trust. We are a hardworking board, so personally I am the grant writer. I serve as creative director for our brainstorming sessions and reaching consensus. And I also am the coordinator for the food vendors of our concerts. So I thank you very much. I hope you will support me.
Madam Mayor, may I make a suggestion?
Yes. Go ahead.
Are we thinking alike?
Yes, we are. Go ahead.
Do you want me to say it or you want to say
I
it?
would love for you to say it.
Okay. I would suggest we follow our usual protocol with regard to board appointments. As Madam Clerk announces the particular applicants, they're welcome to come up and tell us about themselves or answer questions. And I would say that this public comment should be the folks who are here
On the agenda.
to just want to say something.
Correct.
We good?
Correct. We're great.
All right.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment?
Good evening, Lou Perez, 145 Northeast 103rd Street. I'm here once again to talk about the speeding issue in our village. I was here, last time I had an opportunity to speak to council was back in June when we had the unfortunate fatality on 103rd Street. And triggered me today was that a conversation was started on the Nextdoor website this morning once again. There were a few residents, one in particular was worried about the speeding through the school zone at the elementary school. This gentleman had the opportunity to take out a speed gun that he uses for his baseball training things that he does. That he's not here tonight, I don't believe, because he is doing the training for the kids. But anyhow, he said that in 2 minutes there were 24 cars that blew through the speed limit of the school zone. This is by the school, of course, on 103rd. In my area, that's an ongoing thing all the time. I know there's been some contacts that had been tried to make for the state of Florida for the speed limit kind of thing. But the point is that without enforcement, without an officer or a group of ticketing people, it's just going to continue to escalate. It's just going to continue to go on. If we get some people that get ticketed, they could be the habitual ones that happen all the time. Maybe not. But the presence of an officer or officers in areas has to help. I can tell you that I'm very fortunate. I haven't worked for a number of years. I'm retired. So I'm at home pretty much, day in and day out. And there hasn't been any police presence in my area doing any kind of traffic enforcement for quite a long time. A few months ago, there was some efforts made, but during the times of the rush hour times and first thing in the morning and in the afternoon, evenings, nothing. So please, I would hope maybe perhaps if there's time tonight, council might take an opportunity to have a comment about this issue, but we need help. We need that. And I know that the police chief had mentioned that there was going to be a dedicated unit perhaps set up sometime, a dedicated traffic unit set up maybe towards December. Maybe that's still going to be happening, but I'm just bringing it back to life again because we need help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Julio Martinez, 130 Northeast 98th Street. We're here for the last 27 years. Last time when I was running for the city, I promised it to a lot of fellows that I just going to do everything in my power to try to have a new building in the school, Miami Shore Elementary. I went to the city, to the school board on September 4th, and tried to request to demand that they build a new building in the school. They told me that they're not building the school because that has been declared historical, which I had to do my finding, and no one had declared the building historical. Therefore, I don't see why they're not moving to building a new building in this Miami Shore Elementary. So I just wanted to confirm, and you can tell me, because as far as I know, that building has not been declared historical. And it's to invest $6 million and just to remove 6 portable units there, I don't think that's the best interest of the Miami Shore. We need a new school over there. In fact, I need to know from the village if it has been declared historical, which I can find in any record that has been declared historical. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hi. Michelle Jamie, 230 Northeast 102nd Street. I wasn't going to come and speak about this, but now that I just wanted to also speak about the speed. On October 31st will be 1 year since my son was struck by a car right in front of Miami Shores Elementary. Fortunately, he's doing great, and he had a skull fracture. He went through the windshield of the car in what was supposed to be a school zone. So, for the obvious reasons, I'm going to speak up against for enforcement. People come through Miami Shores, as we know, on 6, and I know that there's reasons why we can't control certain streets, but they hit Biscayne Park and everybody slows down because they're vigilant. They know that the police are going to get them. They know that they catch speeders, and even if they're local, they get ticketed. So I can, I've spoken about it before. I'll continue to speak about it. There's no reason why we can't do something to limit. And my block got speed bumps, and I love that, but it's keeping everybody safe. It's the fact that my son now is not allowed to cross certain streets, and it changed our lifestyle because our community is not protecting them as much as we could. So just wanted to comment on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment?
Good evening. My name is Robert Manji, and I live at 1102 Northeast 105 Street, and I'm here regarding the quality of life, Miami Shores. Things are improving, but we are constantly having issues. The traffic issue, I was going to mention that. There's no point. It's already been mentioned. But there are other issues regarding vacation rentals and enforcement of the codes and regulations. State statutes regarding the vacation rentals deal strictly with the number of days and the amount of time they can stay there. We have rules on the books already regarding code enforcement and those issues, and they are being addressed, but it's important that we keep an eye on this because these rentals have the ability to bring in crime. They need to be documented. They need to follow the rules and regulations of the state statutes, and we need to be able to enforce them at the local level so we understand and know who are coming into our neighborhoods. It's being addressed now, and I commend the code enforcement and the administration for taking steps forward. But it is something that really may one day affect us all as far as the quality of life is concerned. We live in a neighborhood with tremendous schools, our location, and all of these things bring us together for the quality of life of our neighborhood. And that's all I have to say for now, but I appreciate your effort in going forward and keeping going. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, with that, public comment is now closed.
Consent agenda. Items are routine, self-explanatory. Matters are not expected to require discussion or review. Items will be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by any member of the council, that item must be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. If the public wishes to speak on a matter on the consent agenda, they must inform the village clerk prior to the start of the meeting. They will be recognized to speak prior to the approval of the consent agenda. Item 6A, approval of the September 17, 2019 final budget hearing minutes. Item 6B, approval of the September 17, 2019 Village Council meeting minutes. We have not received any requests from the public to pull any of the items, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'd like to move that we approve the items on the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Next item is village board appointments. As indicated in the memo that I wrote for the village council, tonight you'll be considering 25 board appointments. And I'm proud to say that the clerk's office received 56 applications. That is 30 more applications than last year. And out of those 56 applications, the clerk's office has screened those applications for general residency requirements of 1 year, the term limit requirement, and any board-specific requirement. Out of those 56 applications, Ms. Tina Salveson and Mr. Daniel Marenberg do not meet the 1 year residency requirement. However, a 4/5 vote may be cast to override this stipulation. As customary, board applicants will have an opportunity to briefly introduce themselves. We kindly ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes per speaker in the interest of time. Keep in mind that the council has received your board application and any supporting documentation that was submitted to my office. Your board ballots are located in the upper right-hand corner, separated by individual boards. And for all those applicants, I just want to thank all of you for taking the time to express interest in serving the Village Beautiful. You have outstanding applications before you today, and I do not envy you at all. Having said that, moving on to the first board for consideration is the Recreation Advisory Committee. We received 17 applications for the Recreation Advisory Committee from Dan Adsa, Kendra Campbell, Borja, Christian Dunham, Patrick Cohen, Alain Guillen, Priscilla Hazley, Alice Johnson-Henry, Michelle Jamie, Jacqueline O'Donnell, Michael O'Hara, Albert Mora, James Keith McAdams, Ingrid Palmazano, Kathleen Redmond, Jennifer Tinkley, Sadri Manrique Medina, and Christopher Farinas. Having said that, if Mr. Dan Adsid would like to speak on his behalf.
Sure. Hi everybody, I'm Dan. I've lived in the Shores about 5 years now. I have no real advisory committee experience. I have lots of recreation experience. Also have a 2-year-old who's getting into a lot more activities, and I kind of want to just oversee her and everything going on in the area. And, I wanted to get out, get more involved in the community. I thought volunteering with the board might be a good opportunity to do so. And of the choices out there, this seemed like the most logical one for me to at least try to get my feet wet and get more involved in the community and help make it an awesome place. Thanks.
Thank you. I think we'll just go right down the list, Madam Clerk. We'll have Kendra Campbell Borja.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Kendra Campbell Borja, and I live at 10361 Northeast 4th Avenue. I've been a resident of Miami Shores for nearly 12 years. I actually served on the Recreation Advisory Board for 8, and it was time for me to roll off and let other people add their expertise. But now, my youngest is 3, she's now in school, and I enjoy being involved in the community. I'm currently a homeroom mom at St. Rose, a homeroom mom at iPrep Academy. I'm a parent volunteer with the Boy Scouts. I'm also involved with the Presbyterian Church. So I enjoy being in my community. I enjoy making it better because I love Miami Shores. It's one of the best places in the country to live, and I mean that. I know that there's room for improvement, but this place is great, and I enjoy working to make it better. As part of the rec board before, I was involved in the new tot lot, as well as the dog park, as well as a lot of the initiatives that just go on. Angie does a wonderful job with her team. I think we need to find ways to support them, as well as look for new opportunities to enhance the services we provide in the facility. So obviously the pool is a big one that's going to be coming up, and hopefully maybe before my kids are too old to use it, a new rec center. So, and I think that communication is critical in that. We need community buy-in, and we've learned some hard lessons from the past about what that effort's going to take, and I believe that my background as a communicator in public policy, both in Washington, D.C. as well as here in Florida, could help, and I'm excited to get back in, roll my sleeves up, and hope I can have your support. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kendra.
Next up, Christian Dunham.
Thanks. How you doing? My name is Christian Dunham. I've lived in Miami Shores since 2003. 2 different homes, now at 390 Northeast 104th Street. I played college soccer. I've been an athlete all my life. I love recreation. I have 3 daughters and a wife, and we all use the rec center pretty much every day. I mean, between tennis, basketball, the fields, the pool, everything. So really, I'm there every day already, and I kind of feel like now's the time I need to at least get involved. My kids are still in school here, and I'm interested in serving the community. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Dunham. Patrick Cowan.
Hello, My name is Patrick Cowan. I live on 87 Northeast 92nd Street. I have 2 small boys. One's 10, one's 6. They use the recreation center quite a bit, the swimming and what have you. About 6 months ago, I had a permitting issue that got me in front of some of you. And the benefit of that for me was to sit here and listen to all the things we have to deal with on a monthly, weekly, daily basis. And it made me think, wow, we take a lot of that stuff for granted. Maybe I want to do my part, however small. And the Recreation Committee is something that I'm candidating myself for because I do think it's important. And the village is a great place to live, but I think there's always ways to do it better. I don't necessarily have a ton of expertise in recreation other than having played sports myself. But I do believe in consensus building, and I do believe that big decisions involve like looking at the details, and I do think that I could add a lot to the board should I be nominated.
Thank you. Elaine, Julian? Elaine, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Elaine Guillen.
Oh, no, I was not. My deepest of apologies. That was terrible. No? Not here? Okay. Priscilla Hazley? Alice Johnson Henry?
Hi, Elise Johnson Henry, also known as the twins' mom. I currently serve on the Recreation Board. I have for the last 2 years, and I've gotten to know the staff. I've supported them. I think I've been to every meeting but one. I've volunteered both at the Easter Drop, and I sell the Cokes at the Unity Day. And I have 2 children, the twins, that are currently at the rec center 4 to 5 days a week. And then if they're not there, they're at the pool on the weekends or in the field. So I think I have a handle on what the rec center, their current needs, working with Angie and Leslie to improve it. I'd like to have more things for adults there. I think they do a really good job serving children, but I think I'd like to have more adult language programs and other things like that. And been working with them to do it. And I know a lot of people in the community. I've met many of you at block parties and other events that we helped host or that I'm involved with. And so I think people come to me all the time and say, what's going on with the pool? What's going on with this? So I'm a good mouthpiece and a good listener to bring those things to the rec center. So I'd like to continue another 2 years to do that.
Thank you. Michelle?
So I hate to be Debbie Downer, but my son was attending the summer program. I have 3 boys. My youngest was at the summer program at the rec center this summer, and he didn't want to go back after a few days of being there because he said, I keep seeing roaches in the bathroom. And for me, that's kind of heartbreaking because it's not clean. For me, it started with aesthetics. I think that the programs are good. I think they offer a lot of variety for a lot of taste. But without having to spend the $20 million that wasn't approved, that doesn't mean we can't do anything to improve it. And I'd love to get together with a group of people to find out what the needs are for the community center, but also to move on them and start doing some work. My 3 boys, 2 of them swim. So they're very active at the pool. They're with a coach there. And then the little one, I'd love to get him into more things if I could just convince him that it's going to be clean. I've lived here almost 10 years. I've been on boards of communities where I've lived in the past. I am very involved in my older son's school. I'm the president of the committee, and I know the parent committee, it's a small role, but it's my dedication to doing things for the community and all volunteer positions. But I have the time and I have commitment, and I think it's something where I can put some effort into.
Thank you. Thank you. Jacqueline O'Donnell?
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Jacqueline O'Donnell. I have been a resident of Miami Shores for 45 years plus. I have born and raised here. I have 3 daughters who are very involved in the rec center and the many different activities and travel soccer. I'm currently on the recreation board serving my second term. I have enjoyed being on the board and being involved in the many activities that the recreation center offers. I have an extensive background in the recreation area. I have a recreation degree from University of Florida in travel and tourism and recreational therapy. I also have a nursing degree, and I enjoy being on the board and the many different ideas that we have that we bring to the board. I feel like I have some very good input with my girls being on the travel soccer, and I would like to be reconsidered for the position. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael O'Hara.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michael O'Hara. I'm a 19-year resident of Miami Shores, and I'm the current vice chairperson of the Recreation Advisory Board. In addition to my day job as a housing development director for a nearby government agency, I teach, along with my wife, 3 days a week at the community center, Irish dancing. Our dancers perform at Unity Day, at the library, and different community events. I am also an official with USA Swimming, which is the officiating body for swimming in the United States, and part of the team that brought the first ever swim meet to the Aquatic Center, and also the Dade County Championships to the Aquatic Center. I hope that I'm reappointed to the committee so we can continue our work there, focusing our efforts on improvements to the community center, including the new bathrooms at the field house and improving the bathrooms, like our resident said, in the community center as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Albert Mora.
Good evening. Albert Mora. I've been a resident for Miami Shores for over 25 years. A product of Parks and Recreation since a kid. My background, I played collegiate tennis. So my background is in tennis. I've also been with the City of Miami for 11 years in the Parks and Recreation up to a year ago. I can provide the input. We've served over 20 parks throughout the City of Miami, so I can provide input and experience in serving the community on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. James or Keith McAdams. Okay. Ingrid Palmazzano. Kathleen Redmond. Kathy Redmond.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. Oh, I'm Kathleen Redmond. I live at 1010 Northeast 92nd Street, and I've been living there for about 25 years. Yeah, it's been a long time. I retired about 9 years ago, and I realized that there wasn't really a whole lot of things for people who are retired to do in this community. So I got involved setting up classes through Osher Lifelong Learning in connection with FIU, also starting a Silver Sneakers exercise program at the community center, and we're also doing a couple more things. But I realized that about 25%, I think, of our population are senior or age 55 and older, and we should have a broader program for them. So I'm applying for this board, whether I make it or not. I still am kind of a pain in the ass to Angie. But I'd really like to expand the programming for seniors and for the adult component of our village. So that's the reason I'm asking to be considered for a position. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Ms. Redmond?
Yes,
You
Mr.
currently
Miller.
serve on another board, is that accurate?
You're keeping up with me, aren't you?
I watch you.
Yes. Yes, I currently serve on the library board, and we're doing a lot more adult programming over there as a result.
Okay. If you had to choose between the boards, what would your choice be?
There would be no choice.
Fill us in.
Well, I would serve wherever I'm appointed.
Okay. I mean, I know you're a very high contributing member of the library board. So I don't know if did you place a preference on your choices, or no, because you're already on that board?
I'm already on that board, and we did research to see if there was a conflict. There is not a conflict because this is an advisory board and
Right.
it has no budget control. This for the rec center.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, you guys.
Jennifer Tinkler?
Good luck, sweetheart. There's the husband of our president at the library.
Is Jennifer here? Sadri Medina.
Tight spot. Good evening. Good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Sadri Medina. I've been a resident for 5 years at 117th Northeast 91st Street. And just wanted to express my interest in serving in a board as well as any other board that I apply to. As going back to Councilman's question to our previous applicant, I am here to serve in any board that it's needed, or there's a spot for me to give my time, dedication. This board is very special to me because my daughter is constantly going to the rec center. She's every summer there. And I think that one of the most important things that you could give your children is to show them by example on how to be part of something, be part of a board, be part of the community where you live and love. And there's nothing better than public service, as it's a noble contribution to where you live and you give back. So I'm not sure if anybody has a question. No.
No questions, sir?
What's the other board you're applying for?
The fine arts. Yeah. And one thing I also wanted to add, my background, I'm a mediator with the 11th Judicial Circuit Court, and my background is in social services. I guess you always have that social service mentality when you're anywhere as a volunteer. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. And Christopher Farinas. Is Christopher here? Okay, Madam Clerk, I think we've gone through our list. So much. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
can I make the speech that maybe several of us would like to identify with? Not only did many of you apply for this particular board, but you all are so wonderful to actually show up and state your intentions in such an eloquent and wonderful way. So I want to let you know that I've been applying for boards here for 25 years, and it has a very long history of being on again, off again. Sometimes you get a lot of people and they just come out of the woodwork and you're wondering, where have they been all this time? And then other times there's hardly anyone and we can't fill the positions. So now we're in that very uncomfortable spot where we struggle to identify based on things that start out being very important and then go down to being less important. And so we all struggle with that, and I just want to let you know that. If you are not appointed this time, please apply again, and please think about going and attending that board a few times here and there to see what it's like and to have your public input, because you can do that on a board or committee. So thank you for listening.
Madam Mayor.
Well stated, well stated. Mr. Lafredo.
Yes, this isn't the first time I've had to make selections to a board on this council, and I just want to say I spent about 3 to 4 hours last night going through. I was overwhelmed by the qualifications and the motivation, and I think that it's citizen activism and citizen leadership is what makes this such a great community, and I thank you all for doing that. We're facing, as you all know, we're facing a number of challenges in the future, and I'm glad to see you all step up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Meltz?
I'll put my 2 cents in. I served on the Rec Advisory Board for 8 years, and before that I had applied, and I was not selected, and I was furious. I hated the council. And, you know, I got to be honest with you, but you know, the hate passed, and I said, I got to do something about it, so I started attending those meetings. By a show of hands, who attended a meeting before you applied? Not too many of you. I don't know. I mean, this is like a free advice, insider's guide. Shouldn't maybe you attend a meeting before you come and ask us to appoint you to it? And the reason, and I'm not scolding anybody, but a lot of people don't know you can attend. So I would suggest that. And so everything happened wonderfully. I applied the next year. I told them I attended more of the meetings than some of the members. Wink, wink. And I was appointed, and I became the chair, and you know, the rest is a Showtime movie. So.
Okay, so the results have yielded 4 applicants receiving a majority vote. That is Kendra Campbell Borja, Christian Denham, Jacqueline O'Donnell, Michael O'Hara. And the council would have to vote one more time to select the 5th applicant.
Sorry, Madam Clerk, can you repeat the names again?
That is Kendra Campbell Borja, Christian Denham, Jacqueline O'Donnell, Michael O'Hara. Oh, there's just one more vacancy on that board.
Let me ask if there's one that has nearly enough votes, or are there a few that have nearly enough votes?
There is one particular applicant that does have close to 3 votes.
Great question. So I suppose we'll go through one more round, or is there a recommendation?
I
Mr.
voted.
Lafredo? You already voted? You already turned yours in? Okay.
It's right there by your left hand.
Thank you. Okay. No.
No majority vote. Everyone voted for someone different. So if you want to go back to the applicant that does have, if you would like to know, that would be Elise Johnson Henry, receiving 2 votes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
So Ms. Johnson Henry received majority vote. Congratulations to the applicant.
So we have our 5th, Madam Clerk?
Yes, that's Elise Johnson Henry.
All right. Thank you all for coming out. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing what the rec board will look like. And wonderful things you guys are going to do this year. Thank you very much.
That's the big one.
The next
And it's fine.
board for consideration is the Planning and Zoning Board. It has 3 vacancies, 12 applications. First applicant is Janet Babbitt Romney, followed by Harrison Bergman.
Is Janet here? Harrison Bergman? Okay, we'll just keep on. Patrizia Bonnet, but she withdrew her.
No, she withdrew for the planning board. She meant to be considered for the Historic Preservation Board.
Got it. Very good. Okay, just want to make sure. Daniel Brady?
He's in Maine.
He's in Maine. All right. John Busta.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity this evening to speak on my behalf. I've had the pleasure of the past several years to currently chair the Planning and Zoning Board, and I have to say it's quite a learning experience. I live at 300 Northeast 91st Street for the past 34 years. The thing about the Planning and Zoning Board, I want to take this time briefly to acknowledge Mr. Serafan for his help and explanation of the ordinances and pertaining to law matters, and also to Mr. Travis Kendall, who's been a big help to the Planning and Zoning Board. You always don't understand the material that's brought before you. You review it, you discuss it, and that's the great thing about it. We come up with a decision, we vote on it, and we move forward. Like I said, I got involved in serving on previous boards many, many years ago, and I was shown a lot of courtesy and professionalism from people that were in the building department and various departments of the village when I was undertaking projects at my home, and I decided that I wanted to get involved and give back to the community as well, and I did this through serving on the boards. A shout out to all the applicants for turning out tonight. I got rejected several times, but I kept on with it as well. So I thank you for your consideration. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Christopher Farinas? Is Christopher here? Michael Finkelstein. Finkelstein. I did it. Very
Good evening, everyone. First of all, to all who applied, it's wonderful. I have been a Shores resident for 40 years. I have been to these meetings and have seen applicants of 1 and 2 when we've had problems getting enough people to step forward and want to cooperate and keep this beautiful, beautiful little city, village, as it is. As I said, I've been a Shores resident for 40 years. I'm on a board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Advisory. Originally, some 15 years ago, I believe it was co-chair of Taste of the Shores, which was the original street festival we had in Miami Shores on Grand Concourse. That was for approximately 5 to 6 years till the city took it over and established Unity Day. At that point in time, we did, all the donations went to the Children's Genetic Disease Foundation. Everyone who participated was 100%. All the restaurants from the area were there. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. The last time we did that, we had close to 10,000 people in one Sunday. The young people who are now in the Shores, it's just wonderful to see. When I moved in the Shores, and my wife and I, most of you folks know my wife better than me, we were the young ones on the block, and now we're the old ones. And we see a lot of families whose children have come back into the Shores. Miami Shores is a special place, a place we know and a place we love. And my feelings for the planning board is I want to keep it the way it was. We now have the luxury, after many, many, many years, of having sewers on 2nd Avenue. Some years ago, where Pizza Fiore is, it was a pharmacy. And then we had one of our local residents, Michael Boyle, put Mike's ice cream parlor in there. He envisioned having a 50s ice cream parlor. I built it at that point in time. For the last 50 years, I've been in the construction business. I do many, many projects here in the Shores. It's my opportunity and my hope to give back to you folks all that you've given to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Daniel Marenberg. Cody. This one I'm not going to pronounce.
Cody McCann.
McCann? Okay. Cody here. Elena Nunez.
Hello, neighbors and councilmen. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. My name is Elena Nunez, and I am at 775 Northeast 97th Street. I have been wanting to join a board, and I finally, when I saw through the little magazine that there were so many people needed for these boards, I decided to say, okay, this is the time. I've been in the Shores for 16 years. I've seen the Shores and how it works. And unlike my person who just came and speak, I'd like to see the city progress a little bit quicker than it usually or has done in the past. I think it's a beautiful city, has a lot of great things, but I'd like to see it move a little bit quicker and progress in different ways. I think that there's other smaller cities that have progressed quicker than we have, and maybe we've lost some opportunities, not sure why. My background is I'm a naturopathic doctor, nutritionist, healer. I've also been a professional fundraiser, and I am an IT professional. I own quite a few commercial warehouses and residential properties in which I am the property manager. So I think that's where my history comes in when I think that planning and zoning. And I'd like to just help out and help shape this city. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Robert Rosenwald.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Good evening, neighbors. Robert Rosenwald, 170 Northwest 97th Street. We've lived here since 2015, me and my partner over there, Thomas Barker. And I just wanted to, like a lot of others here, get involved and help where I could and to meet my neighbors and to meet all of you. My background is a civil rights lawyer. I work currently for the city of Miami Beach as one of the city attorneys. I've been there for about 9 years. Before that, I was a lawyer directing the LGBT advocacy project at the ACLU of Florida. And I did that for about 5 years and litigated, I think, some pretty exciting cases, including the Florida's ban on gay adoption being lifted. With the city of Miami Beach, we participated in a whole host of civil rights lawsuits. My interest in the planning board comes from my job at the city of Miami Beach, which is to advise the various boards. And so I go basically when they get in trouble, when they want to do something that is illegal. And I cover the constitutional and the civil rights aspect of the various boards. And the planning board, that comes up when, for example, I successfully defended the city of Miami Beach's ordinance in its land use regulations that prohibited live performances in certain neighborhoods where the planning board had decided that they really wanted to keep the residential neighborhood residential and separate from areas like the more busy places in Miami Beach and South Beach. And I think as we are developing here in Miami Shores, like some of the other applicants, I would like to see the downtown area developed faster and better and according to a plan. I've seen the results of poor planning, and I've seen the results of good planning, and they're vastly different. And so if you have an opening, I think I have some experience with the subject, and I think I could be valuable. And so I put myself out there for you. If you don't have openings now, I'll come back and I'll apply in the future. So it's a pleasure to meet all of you.
Thank you. Albert Mora.
Back again. For those, like I said earlier, I grew up in Miami Shores for over 25 years, and I've seen some of the changes, some slow, some faster. Although my background has been parks, my current reason why I'm interested in this in planning and zoning is my current position where I'm at with the city of Miami. It's a very unique position. It's called net administrator. We are the planners for the community. And each office is like a mini city hall where we plan whether it's outreach or code or zoning issues for the community. So we're there to enhance the life of the community, and that's everything comes through our office. And I could provide the experience seeing things that I've seen in the last year in community growth and how to grow and what not to do in code and zoning. I can give that input and experience to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Thompson. Sharon here tonight? Okay. We can take our vote.
If Councilman Brady could select 3 out of 12, I'm sorry. I didn't want to make that call for you. It's okay.
Everybody's so good at this.
Okay, the results yielded a majority vote for Daniel Brady, John Busta, and Alina Nunez. Congratulations to all
Thank you.
the applicants.
Okay. Next up, we have
Appointments to the Fine Arts Commission. There are 4 vacancies. The clerk's office received 10 applications. First applicant is, Susan Ackley. I already spoke unless she wants to speak.
I did not know the new procedure, so sorry I went out of turn, but I'll yield.
Beth Goon.
Hi, I'm Beth Boone. I've been a resident of Miami Shores for 15 years. I live at 61 Northeast 102nd Street. I have been the artistic and executive director of Miami Light Project for the last 21 years, and I am the founder and CEO of the Lightbox at Goldman Warehouse, which is a theater space in Wynwood. I've been involved in the arts for my entire professional career, 30 years. I have a master's in fine arts from Brandeis University. In my work at Miami Light Project, I'm known for developing collaborative partnerships with other cultural organizations. I love Miami Shores. I feel that my professional experience would bring a lot to bear on the city, looking for transformative projects led by artists, building a better community. I have colleagues at Miami Theater Center with whom I've collaborated for a long time. I'm raising my son here in Miami Shores. He's 14 years old, goes to Doctors Charter School, and I look very much forward to serving on the Arts Council. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see Mr. Bourne here tonight.
He was unable to attend.
Okay. Victor Bruce,
Also unable to attend.
Stella Ford,
Good evening. My name is Stella Ford, and I've been a Miami Shores resident for 3 years, and in that time I've really fallen in love with this community. I've always been artistically inclined, and I've dedicated my career to creating opportunities for emerging artists and also to promoting access to the arts. I really believe in the transformational power of the arts, and I feel that they are essential to thriving societies. So when I think about how I can contribute to my community, the Fine Arts Commission seems like a really good fit and an opportunity for me to make an impact. Thank you so much for your consideration and for your dedication to the Shores.
thank you. Leslie Frazier,
Hello. Full disclosure, I am on a board. I am on the Education Advisory Board. And when I saw this become available, I was moved by my own involvement in the arts over the years in New York and Micronesia and every place that I've ever lived. And one of the things that I thought about a lot, I've been to a lot of the events, and I think a lot about inclusion, seeing different types of faces getting involved in the arts and different types of art projects presented to the community.
We're becoming more urban in this community, and we shouldn't be left behind. I'm very involved with O Miami. I don't know if anybody's aware of O Miami. I'm a writer with them. And we have a class right now just down the street at MAID. And I'd like to see a little bit of more of that in our community to stay relevant. I've enjoyed so much being on the board for the Education Advisory Board. We've done some great work. I like to bring that energy and that influence and my own perspective to the Arts Advisory Board, and that's why I'm applying. I've written grants for the arts, I've run workshops for the arts, I've brought artists out to places like Micronesia that traveled between islands. I'm very keen on cultural influences in the arts, and I'd like to see more of that present in our community for differently abled people, for people of different languages, for people of different stripes, colors, socioeconomic groups. I'd like for all of us to have a participatory opportunity in the arts. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. And Jewel Malone, Sadri Medina.
Thank you so much for allowing me to express my interest in this Commission of Fine Arts. Don't have much background in the arts, but I am a true believer that our children can learn so much from the arts, and seeing the progress and the challenges that we've faced in our city and the way we're going, I think it's heading into the right direction. And again, I'm expressing my interest in serving in this board as well as the previous board, which I'll submit my application the next time around. But I thank you for your time and consideration, and I guarantee you that my time would be of an assistant, of an asset to the committee. It's a commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Tina Salvinson.
She's not present.
She's not present. And Michelle Headley. Okay.
To choose one of the...
Right, and they're aware of that this is your alternate preference.
Hello, my name is Michelle Headley, and I live at 437 Northeast 102nd Street. I had applied to the Fine Arts as well as to the Historic Preservation Board, and I would be happy to serve on either of those boards. So my background is in creative, 31 years working in the creative field, in advertising, and the arts are part of our daily lives and the importance to them as well as, to our community. And in terms of the Historic Preservation Board, I've always had a passion for design and architecture. So thought it would be helpful to serve the community, and I guess that's about it.
Thank you.
Okay, the results yielded a majority vote for Susan Ackley, Beth Boone, Victor Bruce, and there is no majority vote for the last vacancy. However, Jewel Malone did receive 2 votes. So the council can go into round 2 of voting. Or Jewel Malone received majority vote.
Thank you. Congratulations to those of you who are on the board. Finance Commission.
Next board consideration is for the Historic Preservation Board. There are 3 vacancies, and the clerk's office received 9 applications. Oh, I'm so sorry, the Country Club Advisory Board. That one received a lot more applications, I think. I believe it's now 9 applications. First applicant, Bruce Brown. Actually, he's not present, Madam Mayor. Bill Griffith. Rocco Mirando. Scott Maroon.
Good evening. My name is Scott Maroon, 960 Northeast 99th Street. Yes, I do walk to the golf course, and I also am a member there. I wanted to apply last year, but I hadn't lived here long enough, so I've been here now a 1.5 years, but 30 years to South Florida, and I look forward to hopefully serving and giving back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Norman Powell.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. 320 Grand Concourse is where I live. I've been there 22 years. I've served actually in a volunteer capacity on the one of the ad hoc committees for the country club, for the Men's Golf Association in the past. I believe if you had an opportunity to look at my resume, I believe my experience would be well served on the advisory board. I did look at the requirements for it just to make sure. In an advisory capacity to the manager. I think I've done that in the past with my service in the past for the Bankers Club of Miami, the Miami Art Museum, and several other nonprofits around the county. I'm currently on the Parks and Recreation Board for the county, and I think some of those experiences would come to bear in helping to make the country club a better place for our residents.
Thank you.
Michael Puglisi. Pedro Grajo.
Good evening, council, officials, neighbors. My name is Pedro Rajo. I live in 1700 Northeast 105th Street. I've been a proud resident of Miami Shores for 10 years, a member of the country club for 5, and I've served on the advisory board for 2 years. As part of my presentation, I would like to provide a brief update on the club happenings since we were last here for the annual report. A lot of exciting things are going on in the club. We'll talk about briefly the maintenance schedule. For the first time ever, the club completed a extensive removal of thatch from the fairways. They contracted with an outside company for the first time. Fairways should be healed in about 2 weeks. The result will be a stronger growth. So we were all very excited because those are all capital type improvements to the course. The greens continue to be regarded and are arguably the best in South Florida. I have many friends that come to play. They're avid golfers, and they always say it's a treat to play here. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention pickleball. Pickleball has really taken off. The tennis director, Howie, says it is an incredible and that we should all go down there. So now we're starting to see some golf members. We're going to try to plan a pickleball golf event. We have some advisory board members here. We're happy to report that as a part of the annual capital improvement plan, the club will be purchasing a new ice dispenser and water dispenser. This is a perfect example of how the advisory board currently collaborates with club management. We receive feedback from existing members, we bring it to the board, and after meaningful discussions, they get implemented. So we like to make small changes, and they all lead up to big things. On the tournament front, a lot of exciting things are going on. The club just announced today that they will be having a match play championship as well. That's in addition to their stroke play championship in March. It's the first time ever the club has held a match play tournament. The Men's Golf Association will be having its second annual classic, which is a Ryder Cup style event. And after receiving feedback from last year's participants, I'm proud to report that for the first time ever, we will have a 2.5-day member guest at the club. In conclusion, through my participation in the advisory board and the Men's Golf Association, we all work towards bringing feedback from the members as well as guests that we have that come play with us and bringing it to the club. And it's just been a great relationship, and the times are changing very quickly in the golf world. Golf courses are closing left and right, and the club is becoming more and more important and valuable, in my opinion. So thank you all for your public service, and if you have any questions, please feel free.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. Please note, this does not excuse the board from its annual report to the council.
Yes.
Thank you.
E. Thomas, September.
Mayor Wager, Vice Mayor Birch, council members, Mr. Benton, Sefrin, some of you know me, some of you don't. I guess we start with, moved here in 47 after the hurricane on the beach. I'm the second generation. Learned to play golf at the club in the 50s as a kid. My wife and I have lived on the golf course. We've lived across from the golf course, the old first tee, for a number of years, and we've lived now 30 years in this house, 1 block from the golf course. We spend, I guess 2 or 3 days at the golf course, at least every 2 weeks to a month. My background is that I've served on the board of directors of a number of yacht clubs, sailing clubs. I was a director of the Florida Council of Yacht Clubs. I have a background in turnaround, corporate turnaround, fixed operations. Mr. Sefrin knows me as an attorney. I've turned around a few airlines, served on the boards of airlines. I've looked at this club and I've spoken to the management and the leaseholder. I think it's not just the golf course that needs to be addressed. It's also what other social membership can be brought into the club. Some of the younger members, I think that's an area that might be of interest. I've stayed out of most everything here, right, Tom? For many years. Even the pool issue was one I supported. I learned to swim in the old pool. I don't know if you did, but I think most of us that grew up here, like my wife and I. Thank you, and I look at it as an opportunity.
Thank you.
Jason Yao.
Okay.
Okay, the results yielded majority vote for Scott Maroon, Norman Powell, Pedro Rajo, and Mr. September.
Thank you. Thank you for patiently waiting, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's all.
Next board is the appointment to the Historic Preservation Board. There are 3 vacancies, 6 applications. The first applicant is Thomas Barker.
I'm lucky because I don't have to talk in front of a room full of people. So I got lucky there. Thomas Barker, 170 Northwest 97th Street. Been in Miami Shores for about 5 years. Like most of us, one of the reasons we moved to the Shores is, number 1, we love the neighborhoods. Number 2, we love the houses. We love the architecture here. And we love the greenery, right? As the city is progressing and we're really thinking about how we're going to develop and how we're going to grow, I do think there's a lot of room and opportunity for us to really focus on preserving what makes Miami Shores so beautiful. And so I really want to be a part of our community and be a part of that. Really kind of focus on how we progress as a community while preserving who we are and our identity. My background is I run a marketing agency out of California. We have, I manage over 150 people, making sure that we focus on developing brand identity, keeping the structure of those brands in place, and engaging consumers in a million different ways that really kind of drive those values home for a number of brands that we work on. And I feel like I could do that for Miami Shores and the Preservation League here. So I hope you guys will consider me for that board.
Thank you.
Patricia Bonaduce?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patricia, and I have called Miami Shores my home for the past 5 years. Allow me to introduce a little bit about myself. I'm a real estate attorney working as a real estate broker now, a job that I have done for the past 15 years, working directly in the construction field with Miami Tops developers. This practice has given me much experience with our local architecture. I strongly believe in Miami Shores, not only for living here, also for choosing it to invest my new business on 2nd Avenue. Opening my own real estate brokerage very soon. Next month, you're going to have me here. So as you can see, architecture is my passion, and I come here tonight to offer my experience and passion at the service of Miami Shores Village, inspiring the Historic Preservation Board. Miami Shores is a hidden architectural treasure that deserves to take the lead in Miami-Dade County Historic Houses list. I believe this will have a positive impact on the value of our properties, bringing more business as well. According to the Miami-Dade County records, there are only 40 historic designated homes in Miami Shores. This constitutes a simple 1% of around 3,500 dwellings. So this is not an accurate representation of all historic homes we really have. And we can offer way more to the National Register of Historic Places and put Miami Shores on the historic architectural spotlight again. Members of the Council, with this opportunity, I can bring new ideas and workforce to the Historic Preservation Board that will motivate homeowners to add their properties to the Historic Register designation. Most people don't know that historic houses have property taxes incentives, grants, and tax credits for restoration work. It's only a matter of communication, motivation, maybe attracting people's interest, offering more historic houses tours, and create such attention. I can help with that, okay? We have a House of the Month recognition. Why not add Historic Month of the Month? I think it will promote our village prestige among all Miami neighbors. As a real estate professional, it really disappoints me when I see horrible remodelings with no respect whatsoever of the regional architecture. In this city, most people think that Miami White is the answer, erasing a priceless past of long-lost design and craftsmanship? The answer is period-appropriate renovation, and that's why I would love to participate with this board, because this board is in charge to protect that any alterations or improvements should be thoughtfully planned and executed respecting the architectural style integrity of each house. I strongly believe that when you have a historic home, you're more than a homeowner. You are the temporary guardian of a piece of history, and you should be proud of that and respect that. Thank you very much.
Next applicant is Sandra Fittipaldi.
That's going to be a tough act to follow. Hi, everybody. Sandra Fittipaldi. I live at 285 Northeast 105th Street. We've been there for about 4.5 years. And before that, we lived in Morningside. And there I was part of the historic home tour that my Morningside does a few times a year. I've been, I've been in South Florida for 10 years, but before that I was from up Northeast, where, you know, we have quite a lot of old houses, and I've always been a big fan of old buildings and the necessary preservation and thoughtful restoration that needs that's part of our kind of collective stewardship. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve. And I think it's important that we consider when we're putting these boards together to have continuity, you know, where there's people that already have some experience, but then also to always have kind of new people coming in with new perspectives and really achieving that balance between keeping what makes our town great and our buildings unique. And that is one of the things about our village that is fantastic. I think that there's no cookie cutter. There really are no two houses alike. And I just want to be able to meet my neighbors and give back to my community. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Michelle Headley.
Hello again. Again, Michelle Headley, 437 Northeast 102nd Street, and we have lived in the Shores for 14 years, and I completely agree with my neighbors applying to this board the importance of the architectural integrity of all of the different types of architecture, and we're very fortunate to live in Miami Shores and have all different types. When we bought our mid-century ranch, hadn't been renovated since 1970. First thing we did was tear up the green shag rug and find beautiful Cuban tile and restored it. And then afterwards studied and read everything about mid-century ranch to make sure that when we contacted the architect that we did it to the integrity of the house that hadn't been done in 1970. So I think it's very important, also growing up, lived in a two-story Mediterranean home in the Gables with my dad, and also did the same thing in terms of making sure that we keep the architectural integrity. And we actually applied for historic submission, and the house got accepted. So I think it's just really important that we work in the community and with our neighbors to talk about the importance of preservation and historic, and would be honored to serve with everybody. Thank you.
Christopher Farinas and Daniel Marenberg are not present.
Thank you.
Results yielded a majority vote for Thomas Barker, Patricia Bonaduce, and Michelle Headley.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Next board consideration is the General Employee Pension Board. There are 3 vacancies.
Thank you.
5 applications. First applicant is Terry Guitarni. Next applicant is Ms. Dorset.
Good evening. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Mr. Seraphin, Mr. Benton. My name is Avril Dorset. I've been a resident of Miami Shores since 1996. I'm here tonight to ask to be reappointed to the General Employees Pension Board. One reason I'd like to be reappointed is obviously I'm committed to my community. I believe in public service. I've shown my commitment already in that I've been a member since 2005. I think the record will show with respect to attendance. My attendance has been exemplary with one exception. Last year, my dad was ill, so I missed a number of meetings. By way of profession, I think you all may have my application and resume. I am a lawyer by profession, 31 years, member in good standing with the Florida Bar. Started out here as a prosecutor. I worked for Janet Reno as well as Kathy Rundle. Then I got into municipal government at the city of Miami. But I think the experience I have that's relevant to the board has been my 15 years as an HR director, also in local government. That gave me the opportunity to work with unions in negotiating the collective bargaining agreements with police, fire, general employees, which almost always included negotiating the pension benefit, making early retirement plans, as well as changing benefits, which was quite difficult. I'm a pensioner myself. I'm a member of another plan, so I can tell you firsthand that I am understanding of how important it is for the funds to remain solvent. I think Vice Mayor Birch and both Tom can tell you that I'm not afraid to ask questions of our money managers and our financial advisors. I'm not afraid to initiate motions to make changes when necessary. Mr. Lafredo I served with as well, I forgot. So I'd like to...
Yeah, may I say something?
Sure.
She's been on the board so long, the police pension and the general employees meet together, and she was outstanding. And this was years ago when I was with you. So, but I wanted to mention that.
I appreciate that. I've taken my own time along with Lieutenant McLeod when we were in the process of looking for some different managers with actually doing reference checks, with actually calling the different references. So I've shown my commitment. I'd like to be reappointed and continue my public service to my village. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Thomas Longman. Robert Williamson.
Good evening. I'm Bob Williamson. I live at 1235 Northeast 96th Street. I noticed up on the wall that the first person I voted for in Miami Shores, his picture's on the second row, which gives you Joe Farina. So it's been a while. I've been on the pension board for 4 years. It's been extremely interesting to build a long-term asset to pay liabilities that we are incurring that have to be paid 30 or 40 years from now. I'd appreciate being reappointed to the board. It's been a great deal of fun, and it's also been a lot, interesting to do. It's been fun to serve with Alice and some of the other people on the board as well. Thank you.
Sharon Thompson.
Okay. Thank you.
The results yielded a majority vote for Avril Dorset, Thomas Longman, and Robert Williamson. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Last but not least, we have the Personnel Appeals Board. There are 3 vacancies, 4 applications. First applicant is Linda Brown Etienne, Evie Isles, Jeffrey Kolikoff.
Well, it's good that one of us is here. So. Well, thank you, Commission, for staying here and for now more than an hour and a half hearing all sorts of people say how great they are and how much they want to serve. And if you'll give me a minute, I'm going to do the same thing. But before I do that, I want to thank you for the work you do. Having served on boards and having looked at people to be appointed and whether they should be reappointed, I know how tough it is to pour over applications and listen to what people's involvement was in all of these various boards. So I appreciate very much what you do, and I want to congratulate the applicants who have been appointed and those who weren't appointed. I hope they'll try again. I applied for the board. I'm not very good at recreation. My daughter's a gymnast. She's a competitive gymnast. She unfortunately doesn't compete here with the Miami Shores. I don't know anything about planning or engineering. I'm a terrible golfer. I got a bad shoulder. And I'm not particularly good at money, even though I used to be a stockbroker, but still, pension just isn't for me. So that left one board, the Personnel Appeals Board. I've been a trial lawyer for 14 years, and I might be the only person who applied tonight who's both prosecuted a case, defended a case, and also acted as a trier of facts, because I was appointed a juror in a case. And I was appointed despite the fact I knew the judge, and I knew the prosecutor because I trained him. I knew the defense attorney because he'd beaten me very badly in a trial I tried early on in my career. I knew the police officer. I knew the bailiff. I knew pretty much everyone in the courtroom. And I was, of course, a prosecutor. I had just left. And the defense attorney, after the trial, told me a very interesting story. He said, look, I've known you for 8 years at the time, and I knew you'd be fair. Fair. Fundamental fairness. And I didn't know about the guy next to you, whether he was going to be fair. And I ended up convicting his client along with the other jurors because that's what the facts required. And also, in looking at personnel appeals, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to evaluate what the facts are and go ahead and make a reasonable determination as to whether discipline was appropriate. It's one of those things no one wants to talk about discipline. The reason we moved here, my wife and I, is because we have our own police force, and the library is fantastic, the public works is fantastic. Manager Benton, that's lots of your testament and how hard you work to go ahead and make sure the village runs as it does. And also Mr. Serafin for making sure the appointments are valid and good. And I know you've been doing both of that for a long time. So no one wants to talk about personnel appeals. Frankly, I hope if I'm fortunate enough to be appointed that I never have to go to a meeting. But that said, look, there's going to be problems somewhere along the way. So I hope that the council will see that you want someone who's going to be fair, who's going to look at and give a fair look at the facts and go ahead and make a reasonable decision as to whether the discipline was appropriate, and give the disciplined party also a fair shake to see if maybe they were given a raw deal. So I hope you'll appoint me, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharon Thompson is not present. The results yielded a majority vote for Linda Brand Etienne, Evie Isles, and Mr. Jeffrey Kolikoff.
Thank you. Well worth the wait. Thank you.
Next item is 8A, approval of the RFQ 2019-07-01 Evaluation Committee selection for general professional engineering and architectural services and authorization to negotiate with the top 3 ranked firms. This item is sponsored by the village manager.
Mr. Manager?
Madam Mayor, you have in your packet both a memo from myself and Scott Davis, our Public Works Director. What we're looking to do here is we're actually looking to bring on 3 firms to handle the engineering aspect of the things that we do around here on a day-to-day basis. I've included in my memo some of the pending projects that we have, and as you can see, some of them are large projects like the TAP grant, the drainage project on 96th Street, and each one of those requires engineering services that we have to go out and through the Competitive Negotiation Act, which takes at least 2 months to go through each time we do this. And so what we're trying to do is have a vetted out list of engineers so when we have a project that comes before us, we can reach out in a rotation basis to one of these firms. They're all excellent firms that responded. It was a tough choice, but Mr. Davis has provided the top 3 choices that we're recommending. So what we'd like to do is hire these 3 folks, come back with their fee schedule, and so whenever we have a particular item that comes up on the charts that we need an engineering service for, we would negotiate with them for a specific price, and then we would be able to hire that firm without going through the entire process of selecting somebody from scratch.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any comments from the council?
Madam Mayor.
Fredo.
Thank you. As you all know, I'm very anxious to get the bathrooms at the field house started. So I would move approval of the recommendation of the village manager to rank the top 3 firms for this purpose. And it's Cordova, Rodriguez, I'm sorry, T.Y. Lynn International, Kimley Horn, and George A. Gutierrez Architect. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I would move that we approve the village manager's recommendation to engage those firms.
Do I have a second?
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Village Council announcements. The Artisan Fair at Brockway Memorial Library will be held on Saturday, October 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Shop beautiful, one-of-a-kind handmade items and homemade treats from local artisans. Admission is free. Village offices will be closed on Monday, October 14th, 2019 in observance of Columbus Day. Normal garbage routes will be followed. The next Village Council meeting will begin at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 15th at Village Hall Council Chambers. Halloween Puppy Palooza, which will be held at the Next Plaza 98 event on October 19th from 5:45 p.m. Dress your leashed pet in their Halloween best. Sip and stroll as you participate in a variety of activities on Northeast 2nd Avenue and 98th Street. And Shore Spooktacular will be held on October 26th from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Community Center. Children ages 9 and under are invited to join the fun. For more information, call 305-758-8103. Fine Arts Exhibit Series is featuring Mateo Serna Zapata's Congruous Contradictions on October 18th through November 19th at Brockway Memorial Library. And if you'd like to receive the newsletter via email, residents can sign up to receive the monthly newsletter by email. Contact us, or click on the Contact Us link on the front page of our website. Be sure your email includes your name and mailing address. The communication specialist will take care of the rest. And please remember to visit the village website for more information on village events departments and to sign up to receive agenda notifications. Village Council comments.
Okay, we'll start with Councilman Lafredo this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to commend the applicants and their commitment to this and hope that, I just want to say I was terribly impressed by the quality of the applicants and their commitment. And I want to make one further comment to the gentleman from 103rd Street. who mentioned the speed. State Senator Jason Pizzo held a workshop for local officials where Vice Mayor Birch and Village Manager Benton came to represent the city, and I tagged along, but we brought up the issue of the speeds on 103rd Street. That was back in July, was it? The end of July, yeah. And I think they're going to get back to Mr. Benton at some point whether they're going to consider that, but we asked them to reduce the speed on 103rd. They wrote it down. I don't know if they're going to actually take action on it, but they were writing furiously. That was the head of the State Department of Transportation that was there. We really have to commend Senator Pizzo for getting all those people to that meeting.
Thank you. Councilman Brady?
Oh, no, I just also wanted to say great set of applicants. Thanks, everybody, for working through it. I know there's not a lot of people here right now, but tomorrow morning is the Bike and Walk Your Kids to School Day, and they got a nice note from the school that they are going to be meeting up with the police at the field house at 7:20 tomorrow to escort them to the various schools. So we're going to get them up a little extra early for that. And I also just wanted to mention, in regards to the traffic situation, that I was looking through the crime statistics that were, delivered to us in the packet this week, and the number of citations and warnings are significantly up. And I know. Oh, there we go.
And we have it in our packet. And Mr. Perez, you can have my copy. Okay, because the third page.
And I know it can be a frustrating process. I know the village has been, and the police have been working on it. When I'm taking the kids to school, we also can be frustrated by the people who are not thinking safety first. They're rushing to work. But I have been seeing significantly more police activity around those times, and I'm hoping we'll continue to chip away at it. But thank you for coming out and continuing to speak on the issue.
Vice Mayor Birch.
Madam Mayor, so I would like to piggyback on what Councilman Brady said, as well as what Councilman Lafredo said, that we have not only been working on this, but we also have, for the first time, included in the police report the number of traffic citations, the number of warnings, and the number of traffic crashes. And that's not the kind of statistic that I recall getting in the one-page reports that we were getting. So that's almost back up to the 2016 levels of police police involvement on the streets, and I, for one of them, am encouraged by that. And it's not that when I drive down your street, I don't always get irritated by the fact that there's that 40-mile-an-hour speed sign that is so close to the previous speed limit, which is 30. So what does that do? That puts you in a corridor that where people are just naturally ready as they head west to increase their speed and get ready to get on 995. We really I think all of us would love it if the many overtures that we've made about 103rd Street to state officials would be heard. And I think we're getting closer. But the other part of my public comment, I'd like to thank Madam Clerk, because the last time we went through one of these really amazingly large group of applicants, I remember needing to do commercial messages in between because everything took so long. You have really streamlined this. You've made it so much easier for me. When I was first elected, I lost my ballot every time. Now, how can you lose the ballot? You put, shaded paper. I mean, I really do appreciate it, and I think you did an outstanding job with something that must have been very time-consuming. So thank you. The other thing that I'd like to say again and piggyback is that Walk Bike to School Day, we have 4 schools involved. What we're hoping that this will do is raise awareness of the average driver through Miami Shores. This is not a speedway. Respect our speed zones, respect our children, respect our parents who may be walking their children or taking that initiative and effort. And I think it's very important that we keep at this message. So thanks for that. And I'm encouraged that we have also a way of moving some of these projects faster, and I'm pleased to get these engineering firms in our corner. And so thanks, Mr. Benton.
Councilman Meltz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I
As always, I strongly agree with the residents, Mr. Perez and others who are talking about the speeding issue and saying, why can't we be like Biscayne Park used to be? I truly believe only a heavy-handed approach will make a difference. And as many of you know, we've articulated this many times to the chief. The chief understands our position, but it's not as easy as some may seem to believe. Mr. Perez, I think you understand it because you did mention that December was a time frame for hopefully some substantive change. But you, meaning others who may be watching or listening, must understand you don't want to put you all in a position of robbing Peter to pay Paul. You don't want to issue 20% more speeding tickets and then have the home burglaries increase, right? There's only limited resources. There's only so many police officers. And if you can all remember a couple of years ago, people were screaming up and down, and some rightfully so, about supposed home break-ins, home invasions, and what we would categorize under the crime statistics as forcible felonies, and things which the police department, through our leadership in the village, addressed and substantially reduced and increased the safeness of our community. So you just can't ignore where we were a couple of years ago and just say fix the speeding problem. But you can ask them to take remedial steps to do something about it, and that's, I think, where we're headed soon. So yes, we've been squawking about this for a while, and I know you'll continue to do so, as will we, but we are moving towards getting some sort of solution which will increase the safety to the residents as warranted.
All right. I just want to commend everybody that came out and applied for the various board seats. I'm excited about the number of folks that came out. It's really nice when I see people engaging in the process and in their community. And Mr. Perez, I am getting to know you as we go forward. The last time you were here, that I was looking into this as well. I think Councilman Lafredo, when he spoke about putting in the request for the reduction of the speed limit, just had a follow-up conversation. Somebody brought that to my attention about the end of last week. So that is being bandied about. And so hopefully that will exist. And this traffic citation paper is great, but it's not as specific as I'd like it. But I understand what you're trying to say and where you're going, and I do think there are measures being taken to resolve that issue, but it will take time. But this council, previous to me, it sounds like has been working on it. So I will just piggyback on all the efforts that are being done and hopefully move it forward. And it's important because I used to live on 103rd too. So I know exactly what you're speaking of, exactly what you're speaking of. But I do thank you for your dedication to coming out every time, getting the point out there. It's important. All right, and with that, is there anything else from the council? There being no further business of the council, this meeting is therefore adjourned. Thank you.